The Buddha sat beneath the banyan tree, his robes glimmering in the dappled sunlight filtering through the leaves. Disciples gathered close, forming a quiet circle, eager to listen to their teacher's wisdom. A gentle breeze carried the rustle of leaves, blending with the soft murmur of a nearby stream. "Disciples," the Buddha began, his voice calm and resonant. "Do you see this banyan tree and the shade it offers?" The disciples nodded, their attention unwavering. The Buddha continued, "This tree provides shelter to all." Without asking who they are or what they bring, he gestured toward a bird perched on a branch, chirping melodiously. The bird sings, and the tree shelters it without request or expectation. This is true kindness. A disciple named Ananda raised his hand respectfully and asked, "Master, how can we embody such kindness in our lives?" The Buddha smiled gently and replied, "Let me tell you a story. A lesson I once learned in my youth." The disciples leaned closer, their hearts open to receive the teaching. "But Master," I protested, "the anger feels overwhelming, and I cannot find the way as the water does." Buddha smiled. "Would you be willing to try a practice to guide the water of your mind?" I agreed, eager for relief from the burden of my temper and its impact on my family. "Take a deep breath," he instructed, his voice as soothing as the wind rustling through the leaves. I approached it with care, cradling it in my hands, feeling its heartbeat against my palm. The disciples listened in rapt silence, their minds painting the scene with vivid colors. The Buddha continued, "I removed the arrow, my heart filled with compassion, and tended to its wound with gentle hands. But soon my cousin Devadatta appeared, claiming ownership of the swan, for he had shot it." The disciples exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the tension of the story. "I refused to give it to him," the Buddha said firmly. "I argued that the swan belonged to the one who sought to save it, not harm it." "Disciples," he said, his tone both soft and strong. This was the moment I understood kindness in its purest form. It is not bound by relationships or circumstances. Kindness flows from the heart, like water from a spring, seeking to nourish all it touches. He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle into the minds of his disciples. The swan recovered and flew away, its wings carrying the memory of compassion. It taught me that kindness leaves lasting imprints, unseen but transformative. The Buddha gazed at each disciple, his eyes filled with a wisdom that transcended lifetimes. Like the banyan tree, offer your kindness unconditionally. Do not ask who deserves it or what you might gain. "Ananda," the Buddha called softly, and Ananda looked up, his eyes reflecting reverence. Imagine a world where all practice such kindness. How many lives would be uplifted? How much suffering eased? Ananda bowed deeply and replied, "Master, such a world would shine brighter than any jewel, its light warming every heart." The Buddha nodded, his serene smile a testament to the truth Ananda had spoken. "Kindness," the Buddha continued, "is not limited to grand acts or material gifts. It is found in small gestures. A smile, a word. When you hold the door for another or share your meal, you practice kindness." The disciples listened intently, their hearts inspired and their minds absorbing each word like parched earth drinking rain. "Understand," the Buddha said, "that kindness is not always easy. It may challenge your patience or test your understanding. But remember," he added, his voice imbued with conviction, "the path to enlightenment is paved with acts of compassion. Each step brings you closer to the truth." Buddha nodded. Children are attuned to the shifts in their parents. "Kindness," he said, "is not a transaction. It seeks no reward or acknowledgement." When met with scorn, the Buddha continued, "Let your kindness remain steadfast. It is like the sun, shining regardless of clouds." I bowed deeply, gratitude swelling in my heart for the profound guidance he had offered so graciously. As I left the monastery, the sun warming my back, I carried a renewed sense of hope for my parenting. See how this tree stands tall and firm. Its roots anchor it, drawing strength from the earth. Let your kindness be like these roots, the Buddha said. Draw strength from your inner peace and compassion. Stand tall, even in the face of adversity. The disciples nodded, their spirits bolstered by the Buddha's teachings. Leela's tears continued as she whispered, "Master, I feel powerless before this cycle. How can I stop the raging fire?" Buddha inclined his head slightly, his fingers resting gently on the earth. It is a heart that reflects the divine nature of existence. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the grove, the Buddha concluded, "Go forth, my disciples. Let your kindness shine, illuminating the path for others. In doing so, you fulfill the purpose of life itself." The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude and resolve. They rose one by one, their minds alight with the teachings of the Buddha, ready to carry his message into the world. Another day, another gathering beneath the shade of the banyan tree. Disciples encircled the Buddha, eager to learn his wisdom. The Buddha gazed upon the serene landscape, his voice steady as he began. "Disciples, today I share a tale of giving." In the bustling streets of Varanasi, a humble weaver toiled to create vibrant cloths for the market's needs. The weaver worked tirelessly, his hands skillfully weaving threads into patterns that adorned the lives of his neighbors. The Buddha paused, letting the image of the hard-working weaver form in the minds of his disciples. One cold morning, as the weaver labored, he noticed a beggar sitting shivering on the street corner. He hesitated, for his own resources were scarce. Yet his heart, filled with compassion, urged him to take action. The Buddha's voice resonated, drawing the disciples into the unfolding story. The weaver approached the beggar, carrying one of his finest cloths in his hands. He knelt beside the beggar, wrapped the cloth around his shoulders, and offered warmth without expectation of return. The disciples listened with rapt attention, feeling the weight of the weaver's sacrifice and kindness. "Disciples," the Buddha said softly, "the weaver understood that giving transcends wealth or abundance. True giving arises from the heart's intent. A generous act, no matter how small, carries the essence of compassion and transforms both the giver and the receiver." The Buddha's words lingered in the air, each disciple reflecting on the meaning of selfless giving. "Consider this, disciples," he continued. "The weaver gave not for recognition, nor for praise, but for the joy of easing suffering." The Buddha gestured toward the lotus pond, its surface glimmering in the sunlight, like the ripples in water. An act of kindness spreads far, touching lives unseen. The beggar felt warmth, not only of the cloth but of the heart that offered it freely. The weaver felt joy, not because he received gratitude but because he followed the call of compassion within him. The disciples nodded, their hearts resonating with the lesson of giving and its boundless impact. A disciple named Subhuti raised his voice, asking, "Master, how can we ensure that our acts of giving remain pure, free from desires of reward?" The Buddha turned his gaze to Subhuti and replied, "Disciples, giving is an offering, not a transaction. It seeks nothing but the relief of another's burden. Even when your kindness remains unseen or unappreciated, its value lies in the act itself, not the acknowledgement." The Buddha's voice carried a serene power, leaving no room for doubt in his disciples' minds. He continued, "Practice generosity with mindfulness, knowing that the essence of giving lies in your intention, not in the outcome." The disciples bowed deeply, absorbing the truth of his words, their spirits enlightened by his wisdom. "Disciples," the Buddha said, "let me share another truth. Generosity is not limited to material gifts or possessions. It can be found in your time, your presence, your willingness to listen, and your words of kindness. By giving freely, you enrich the lives of others and cultivate the seeds of compassion within your own heart. The Buddha gazed at the weaver's story etched in the minds of his disciples and added, "Remember this tale. The weaver, though humble and poor, brought warmth to another's life and inspired kindness to grow beyond his reach." As the sun began its descent, the Buddha concluded, "Be like the weaver, share freely, give with intention, and let compassion guide your actions." The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts resolved to carry the Buddha's teachings into the world with open hands and giving spirits. Each disciple rose, ready to spread generosity and kindness, shaping the lives of others with their deeds and love. Another day, another quiet afternoon beneath the banyan tree, the Buddha meditated as the golden light bathed the grove. Disciples sat in attentive silence, awaiting the wisdom their teacher would impart to illuminate their paths. The Buddha opened his eyes, his gaze resting upon the serene faces encircling him. "Disciples," the Buddha began, his tone gentle yet profound, "today, I shall teach you the kindness found within silence itself." The disciples leaned in slightly, their hearts eager for this new lesson woven from the Buddha's profound understanding. In the high caves of the Himalayas, a monk once sought solitude to reflect upon the truths of existence. The Buddha paused, allowing the scene to form in the minds of those gathered, a place of snow and stillness. One day, the monk ventured from his cave and came across a fox caught in a hunter's trap. The fox whimpered softly, its eyes filled with fear, its leg ensnared, unable to move freely through the wilderness. The Buddha's voice carried the weight of the fox's suffering, compelling the disciples to feel its plight. The monk approached slowly, his every movement careful and deliberate, so as not to further frighten the creature. Without speaking a word, the monk knelt and began working to loosen the cruel trap, his hands steady but tender. The disciples remained silent, enraptured by the unfolding story that spoke volumes through its simplicity. The trap yielded to the monk's efforts, and the fox, free at last, paused to meet his gaze before scampering away. "Disciples," the Buddha said, his voice resonant with quiet power. This was kindness in its most silent, yet impactful, form. The monk offered no words, yet his actions carried the warmth of compassion and the light of understanding. Kindness need not always be spoken, the Buddha continued. At times, it is the quiet deeds that speak louder than words. The disciples nodded solemnly, grasping the profound message in the silence between the Buddha's sentences. The Buddha gazed at the flowing stream nearby, its gentle murmur blending seamlessly with the stillness of the grove. "Consider the water," he said. "It does not call attention to itself, yet it nourishes all life it encounters. Let your kindness be like the stream, unassuming, silent, yet vital to the well-being of those around you." The disciples bowed their heads slightly, absorbing the depth of this metaphor and its relevance to their own lives. A disciple named Mahakassapa raised his voice respectfully. "Master, how can we practice silent kindness when the world so often demands words and proclamations?" The Buddha turned toward Mahakassapa, his expression serene and understanding. The mother sighed deeply, her weariness apparent. "How can I replenish myself when there is so much to do each day?" Buddha picked up an empty bowl resting nearby, holding it before her. "Imagine a friend burdened by grief," the Buddha continued. "Would your words truly ease their pain? Or would your presence suffice?" The disciples exchanged thoughtful glances, realizing the truth in the Buddha's question, its simplicity containing profound wisdom. "Silence," the Buddha said, "offers a space for healing, a refuge where the soul finds solace without the intrusion of sound. A gentle touch, an understanding gaze, or a silent vigil beside a suffering being. These acts hold immense power." The Buddha gestured toward the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and crimson. The sun sets without a sound, yet its departure fills the world with beauty and its return brings life anew. Disciples, embrace the silent kindness of the setting sun, the flowing stream, and the monk who freed the fox. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts swelling with the resolve to embody this quiet compassion in their daily lives. The Buddha's gaze softened as he looked at each of his disciples, his voice carrying the weight of his teachings. When you encounter someone in sorrow, be the silent presence that comforts, the calm harbor amidst their storm. Create moments, Buddha continued, however brief, to nurture yourself. A breath of mindfulness can renew a weary heart. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, imagining each breath as a drop of rain falling into the bowl of her soul. Rest is not selfish. Buddha said, "Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you." Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.